when we were playing the Edmonton Oilers, there was a game in the playoffs recently where the Vegas Golden Knights won the game with 0.4 seconds left. It was crazy. Literally less than a second left. We hit it off of their own player. It went in. They were just shocked. And so we were like, okay, how do we seize the moment to capitalize on what just happened? And what we did is we created a digital billboard ad that just said 0.4 seconds. And we showed up on like 250 billboards in Edmonton surrounding Edmonton Oilers arena within literally hours of that happening. Edmonton people freaked out. They were like, who did that? Take that down. How did this go up in the first place? And it wasn't just one or two billboards. I mean, dozens and dozens and dozens of billboards saying 0.4 seconds. And the whole strategy there was, we want to create a moment where people are going to have an emotional reaction, turn that into like media coverage, earned media. And then we want to put it on our social in Vegas so that our patrons in Las Vegas know that this is the brand that stands behind the Golden Knights, and use this digital marketing to tell a story.
Today we have Jonathan, founder and CEO of Adomni. Thanks so much for joining, Jonathan.
Stephen and Michael, great to be with you.
Thanks for joining.
So I know we talked a little bit before this recording about all your various different experiences kind of in the branding world, the ad world, content world, but knowing that our audience is largely brand marketers, maybe folks starting their own entrepreneurship journey, can you just give a little bit of background on what you do, a little bit of your history and kind of what you're working on today?
Sure, yeah, I'd be happy to. So my entrepreneurial journey started even when I was a teenager, I would say, as a young guy. Both of my parents are entrepreneurs, so grew up in a household where they had their own businesses, and I think they encouraged me to always kind of work as a young person, and I loved the kind of the chase of building new things and also making money. And at that time, it was spending it on baseball cards. Back in the day, that was my the carrot I was chasing. But really, I mean, I think entrepreneurs sometimes, at least it's been my experience, sort of have a lifelong passion for creating and building. And if you look at my career, I went to undergrad at Washington University in St. Louis, studied business. And I graduated from there and I joined the family business, which was a printing company. In the late 90s, we actually put up our first website where anyone could go online and design printed cards, and then we would print it within 1 to 2 business days.
Wow.
So that was the first 15 years of my career. The company was called Storky Express, storky.com. And I fell in love at the time with changing the way that the products were bought and sold from a catalog-based business where people would fill in, say, your wedding invitations, right? The bride's name, the groom's name, all that stuff, mail it in. We would then have to type it up and then print it. We moved it all to be online and having our customers actually be able to go online, design their own cards. And this was way before like Shutterfly and how we do it today. So I really loved the idea of taking offline experiences online and using new technology to kind of transform the experience. So that was the early part of my career. So from, when I graduated college until about 2014, I moved to Las Vegas because that business was doing so well that we needed to open an office. And we also wanted to do it in a place that had no state income tax. So from an entrepreneurial recommendations perspective, thinking ahead a little bit for some entrepreneurs of like, okay, when we are successful, how do we ensure that we can make, that we're not getting really hit too bad by the tax, the tax situation or cost setup. So 2010 moved to Vegas and opened an office here, and ended up meeting my wife, who comes from the hotel casino industry. Her family has the oldest casino in Las Vegas.
Oh, wow.
Yeah. So I thought I was just opening an office in Vegas. Turns out never left. I'm still here. Um, then today, if you like kind of look at my sort of, fast forward to where we are now, um, we have multiple businesses. So my main business is an ads platform called Adomni, which you mentioned, where we do digital out of home and video ads. But we also have 10 bars and restaurants in Las Vegas. So a few are on the strip and some are off the strip. And we're about to open a casino in Reno next year. So that project, so a little bit of a bunch of different things. But I love creating and building. That's my kind of passion.
That's so cool.
Yeah, I didn't know about the other business ventures, but it sounds like you probably keep yourself very busy on a day-to-day basis. But so I'd love to just unpack Adomni a little bit. I know on some of our previous conversations, you were starting to break down kind of the multi-channel aspects of it, how it works for customers and brands. Can you just give a brief overview of what it is, how it benefits brands, and then I'm sure some follow-ups will result from some of the interesting things that you say there. So I'm curious about that.
Yeah, totally. Happy to. So we were selling my family's e-commerce business, and one night in Las Vegas, I went to dinner with my wife and her sister, and a guy named Jonathan Fine came to dinner. And he's a serial entrepreneur, owns a lot of different businesses as well. And he approached me and said, "Hey, we've got some billboards that are outside the airport in Las Vegas that are digital. And how hard would it be to build an e-commerce platform where anyone who's coming to Las Vegas, whether you're there for a conference or it's a show that's going for a certain amount of time, how can we let people just go online, kind of like Airbnb, and just book space on our billboard?" So that was 2014, where the Adomni idea sort of kind of hatched with me. And my background in e-commerce, like I've always bought digital ads to reach consumers. I mean, going back to even before Google existed, like we were doing early display ads. And so I've had a lot of experience with building a business that kind of worked with digital advertising, but at the time hadn't really done much in the out-of-home space. Not a lot of brands look at digital home as part of like their programmatic or performance digital marketing. So I was really excited to learn about the space because I thought that there could be a huge opportunity where if you can bring digital marketers to the physical world and bring the same sort of targeting and like flexibility and performance measurement to the equation, there could be a really, really big unlock to the industry and then also for us as entrepreneurs. So that's what Adomni is today. Adomni stands for advertise omnipresent, advertise everywhere. And what started with a few billboards in Vegas, we now have 1.1 million connected digital screens in 45 countries.
That's wild. So do you own the actual billboards, or do people sign up to be on your platform who own the billboards already?
That's a great question. I know I gave the example that Jonathan Fine, my partner, owned billboards, but Adomni actually does not.
Okay.
We are really a marketplace platform where we partner on the supply side with like the media owners. So think about Lamar and Clear Channel Outdoor and Outfront. We've, over the last 10 years, created like direct connections into their inventory systems to be able to understand what's available. And then on the other side, we have our online platform for creating campaigns. So marketers are not necessarily choosing specific media owners or locations. They're creating campaigns and trying to reach audiences, and we're connecting them to a whole bunch of different media owners.
Wow. Okay. So they could buy a campaign, let's just say, and run it with you, and then it would run on multiple different billboards depending on their goals. Basically, that's how it works?
Exactly. Yeah. Oftentimes there might be thousands of screens that are in a campaign plan. And then our ad serving algorithm is optimizing for what is the best time of day to reach, audiences for that particular brand's product. So for example, if Starbucks was doing a campaign with us, why would they be advertising in the middle of the night or at night at all, right? Let's heavy up on the morning time. And so our system like does that. It says, let's find the optimal screens at the optimal times. And then let's also bring different creatives so that you might have different messages across different locations, depending upon the mindset of the audience.
Wow, that's so interesting. So do you put a account representative in place for each company that's working with you, or is it completely like, how does that work? How do they buy the inventory?
Sure. So Adomni today has kind of two buying models. There's our self-service platform, where ad agencies and brands are going in themselves, just like they're doing for like Meta or TikTok or Google. And so they're controlling their budgets, they're selecting what inventory they want, they're launching campaigns. And so that's a big piece of our business. And then we also have a managed service where some clients just don't want to do it themselves. And that's where we'll have a client success manager who works with them to build out the proposal, launch the campaigns, and also provide reporting for them.
I remember you mentioned something interesting on our previous conversation about a lot of digital brand marketers don't realize how much far beyond digital billboards there is to play with in digital out of home. Can you talk a little bit about that? Because I think that for our audience, that might be a kind of an aha moment.
Yeah, totally. So from 2015, when we really started building Adomni until last year, most of that time was spent connecting inventory. And when we say inventory, I know we've been mentioning digital billboards a lot because that's what we think about sometimes, like you're on the highway, freeway, and there's those 48-foot wide, screens. As it turns out, digital billboards are only one of 39 different screen types, which we call a venue type. And so, billboards are maybe 2% of the inventory when you think about all of the types of screens. And so I'll give you some examples. You're going through the airport, and on the concourses, they have those vertical video screens. Or you get, your baggage, the baggage claim, they have the horizontal screens. So those are programmatically activated where you can launch campaigns reaching travelers or tourists as another venue type, airports. We have gyms where you'll be running on the treadmill and there's maybe 6 or 8 screens at a 24-hour fitness. 1 or 2 of those are actually showing ads. So you can reach people in the moment in the gym. So all those screens, when you add it all up, we're talking about make like 200-300 billion impressions a month across 1.1 million different screens all throughout the world, all connected.
I remember you had also in kind of learning about your brand a little bit, talked about some of the targeting capabilities of this type of advertising. Because I would imagine that maybe an objection would be, oh, well, digital, I can track so much easier on Meta or on, TikTok or whatever the case may be. But how do you kind of get around that objection? Like, what are the possibilities and potential with your campaign strategy?
Yeah, it's a good question. And it's been one of the driving forces of my sort of interest and passion for this space is that exact question of, okay, it's one thing that you've helped make it easier for me to place ads on the screens. How do I know if it's working? Like, how can I understand the return on investment? Because Google and Meta will show me the number of clicks I had, the number of conversions I had. And so it's all very kind of like, it's very transparent to the buyers. And so on that topic, there's a few things from a background perspective to share. The first is that we've actually evolved our business over the last year and a half to layer on not just digital out of home as a channel, but also connected television and mobile. So mobile video. And so what we said was, like, if you think about CTV, which is like streaming, right? If you're watching Netflix and you have the ad supported version, you're going to see an ad every few minutes, right? Every 5 minutes, or Prime Video or YouTube, right? We all know that you're seeing ads on TV. But it's the same, like that TV screen in your living room or bedroom is the same TV in many cases as what's in a gym or a bar, or, a restaurant. You're not clicking on your TV like at home the same way you're not clicking on a digital home. So we brought together what we call, smart video everywhere, which is to tell a story on a big screen that then you could tell a story on the living room screen. And then you can continue telling the story on the mobile phone where people might click on something when you see like a mobile ad. And so that's the first part, is that we've kind of branched out. The other part is that our phones right now are transmitting like geolocation through mobile apps in ways that some of us know, some of us don't realize, right? So like you have a weather app, Steven, right? Like you wake up and you want to know, is it going to rain today? Well, with your phone, when you download that app, it said, do you want to use precise location? And you said yes. And you also opted in that the weather app might share anonymously your location with their partners. So that's an important piece, because what has happened over the last 5 years is we're able to actually understand a portion of the mobile devices that are in front of the digital home screens, how those mobile devices, where they are at night, from a household perspective, where we can actually provide marketers with targeted audience opportunities from mobile data. And then we can also tie in that mobile phone to a household to understand, do you have laptops in the household? Do you have different TVs? Where when you go on a website for a brand that you saw their billboard ad, we have ways to connect that exposure to the visit to the website, where we can show you an actual report of people exposed and then doing something online or on their phone.
So basically what you're saying is, because our mobile phones have apps on them that we've opted into location services for,
Yes.
your program and kind of marketers more broadly can track when you've seen a digital out of home, maybe it's a digital billboard or at the airport, and then also know when your phone is at home and serve up ads in both places because of that location data.
Yeah. It's more proximity to the screen. So, the way to think about it is like there's a little fence that's created around the digital billboard for the 8 seconds that your ad was played. And all of the phones that the location data companies have observed in that fence become exposed audiences. And then that, unique identifier for your phone gets mapped to a household, and then that household has its devices. And so what you bring together is this kind of connected ecosystem of devices and actions, and it's all consumer privacy safe, so it's only opted in permissioned apps. And it's also in partnership. We have a partner that's amazing called LiveRamp, that does everything, they're a publicly traded company, one of the biggest data measurement companies. So it's not that we're not doing it. It's that we're just working with LiveRamp to kind of connect all these different data touch points and bring it together for measurement purposes.
Sure. So when you think about the omni-channel nature of this, like you can enable brand marketers to be hitting their target audience when they're out and about, when they're at home, like serving them up ads that are relevant to the type of products or services that they are interested in. How does the storytelling component play into that? And like, where does your brand work with the brands that you're working with to figure that out? Like, are you all involved in helping the kind of emotional component of the campaign, and how does that all fit together?
Totally. The creative is, I like to say, the most important piece. You could have the best targeting, you could have the most efficient way to kind of show up in the screens, but if your messaging isn't on point, it doesn't matter. And so part of our solution is helping brands or agencies put together a creative strategy, just like the ideation behind it. Or it might be working with, like companies like yours, right? Video production companies that can take an idea and bring it to life. And historically, unfortunately, the creative has kind of been the last thing that brands and agencies think about, right? It comes at the end of the process. And what we've been trying to do is push it more to the front of the process, where the creative almost could inform which screens you want to use and then how you tell your story in different ways across those. And so we're not a video production or a creative shop. Like, that's not our area of expertise, but we definitely can guide either the brands or their partners like you guys to help, come up with ideas or bring them to life. And also, like, with AI continuing to become more and more powerful, we're also thinking, how can we make that like a value add to our technology, where you can prompt some stuff and maybe make some basic creative for clients that don't have the budgets or the ability to work with big, creative agencies.
Jonathan, I have a thought. So obviously you have a lot of different business. There's your ad business, then there's your restaurant business that you have. You're doing the casino business. When you think about marketing for each of those businesses and customer acquisition, do you approach them all in the same manner, or do you approach each one in a very different manner?
It's a great question.
Yeah. At the end of the day, the audience sort of determines the strategy and the tactics we take. And when it comes to like our bar restaurant, it's a sports bar audience. And so it's local here in Las Vegas. And we also have like video poker machines, gaming machines at the bar. So our marketing messaging is all about, whatever sporting events are happening, or whatever, like, we also have 250 beers on tap.
Whoa.
So it's like, we just got in
here.
Yeah. So we're like, a tap house also. So that audience is really about, like, kind of more social oriented. Come on in, try the new beers, watch the game, have fun, and it's a pretty steady flow of messaging. And with our, with Adomni, our audience are either brands. So the people in a brand that's responsible for marketing, which spans kind of everything, right? Like the soup to nuts. There'd be about like 30 industries, or ad agencies who are entrusted by the brand to help them figure it out. So what I love about this business is, like, both for our bar restaurants and for this, it's very dynamic in terms of building custom proposals, custom strategies, that not only are for the product or the brand, but also like the time of year or what's going on in the world, And I have a great example for you where we actually brought together our ads business and our bars business.
Oh, nice.
If you're open for a quick anecdote.
Yeah, sure.
Okay. Were you guys hockey guys by any chance?
I am definitely.
He is the
men's
huge
league,
guy.
the whole 9 yards.
Okay. So, Vegas, our first professional sports team was the Vegas Golden Knights.
Yeah.
And they're just, the people are crazy for them here in Vegas. So as a sports bar, we have Parkway Tavern's the name of the sports bar in Vegas. At Parkway, we like to have fun with our marketing and also just, engage with our clients in fun ways. So I don't know if you remember, but when we were playing the Edmonton Oilers,
okay,
there was a game in the playoffs recently where the Vegas Golden Knights won the game with 0.4 seconds.
Yes. Yeah.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, it was crazy.
Yeah.
Like, literally less than a second left. We hit it off of their own player. It went in. People were like, it was in Edmonton. It was like, they were just shocked. Did we really just win this game? And so we were like, okay, how do we seize the moment to capitalize on, what just happened, but for Parkway Tavern? And what we did is we created a digital billboard ad that just said 0.4 seconds. And we showed up on like 250 billboards in Edmonton surrounding Edmonton Oilers Arena within literally hours of that happening. So people are driving into work the morning after, and Canadians are just crazy about hockey, but it said 0.4 seconds, go Knights go, Parkway Tavern. So like we had our logo for the bars, and then we also put like, powered by Adomni, so that we were also on there as well.
Yeah, double branding.
They freaked out. Like the Edmonton people freaked out. They were like, "Who did that? Take that down." Like they were crazed. How did this go up in the first place? And it wasn't just one or two billboards. I mean, dozens and dozens and dozens of billboards saying 0.4 seconds. And the whole strategy there was, we want to like create a moment where people are going to have an emotional reaction, turn that into like media coverage, earned media, and then we want to put it on our social in Vegas so that our patrons in Las Vegas know that this is the brand that stands behind the Golden Knights, and uses digital marketing to tell a story and create connection.
It's so fascinating. Well, I guess I hate to say it, but joke's on you guys, because I guess the Oilers are in the final right now. Not the Knights.
We don't guarantee professional hockey results as part of our marketing. So we did lose. Like that was these guys trolled us back. I mean, we've got photos in social of like people showing up at the bars with a huge Edmonton Oilers flag after they beat us. But the point was that we like billboards work, and my Jonathan Gudai, my business partner, he had 20 different interviews from mostly Canadian like media outlets, wanting to know, who is he, like why did he do this. And so it just goes to show as like a little example that if you're creative and you're willing to kind of use kind of cutting edge technology and also be playful and fun, there's so much you can do with the physical world that right now not a lot of advertisers are doing to the extent that they could.
That it's also fascinating just because I think it's a true testament to an omnichannel approach, right? Like in that instance, you are not anticipating that the digital billboard is going to lead to a direct conversion, because you're not even in the market that you're placing the digital, like your restaurant's not there, but you're capitalizing on the cultural zeitgeist moment that you're creating, which is so interesting. Like in our case, we're an official creative partner of NASDAQ, and as part of our relationship with them, they put our like logo and billboard up on their Times Square like thing that they have display. And it's like, okay, maybe someone walking by Times Square is going to see that, but the way cooler use of it is take our picture in front of it, put it on social, run at like, that's a way more interesting application, but you're using the physical world, like you're saying, to allow that to happen. So that's really, really interesting.
And I think that's an important theme that savvy marketers understand, but some legacy ones don't. And that's, as audiences want authenticity, and audiences also don't want to be sold too hard, right? And I think like we're a partner with TikTok. So we helped TikTok a few years ago create a whole new program called TikTok Out of Phone, where TikTok was like, how do we take influencers and creators and have them show up in more places? And so we said, well, why not our digital screens? They're mostly video enabled, and like that's a great extension to your phone experience. And TikTok has this slogan, don't make ads, make TikToks. And the best performing content on TikTok from a brand marketing perspective is not your glossy commercial. It's something that feels authentic, that's raw, that's not polished, that connects, right? It strikes a more natural emotional chord. And we think that should extend also to your TV with CTV, to, digital screens in the real world with digital home. Like it applies kind of everywhere. It's just a novel approach to marketing that kind of takes people willing to try some stuff.
That's so funny. Well, that's everything that we pitch to, authenticity. That's why we do this podcast. That's why we have a lot of our clients do podcasts too. It's just authenticity, especially now with AI. I mean, AI, you can create a polished, glossy ad, but you can't fake authenticity. So that's really the only thing you can't fake now. So
yeah, it's true. Our BS meter is at an all-time high as consumers, and right. And also like we're also inundated with ads more than any time in history, probably, with all the different digital and Yeah. So you kind of have to earn the attention, right?
With Adomni, do you use your platform to market yourselves? How does that work? I often find that advertising platforms sometimes have to advertise on other platforms that aren't their own to get an audience too. So I'm just curious how that works for you.
Yeah, totally. So with Adomni, our clients are ad agencies, and obviously brand marketers. Um, Ad agencies are easier to use our platform for because they're a physical office. And luckily, lately, in the last few years, people have started going back to offices a lot. So there was a period where you couldn't even target, agency people because they were at home. And so the short answer is yes. Like we've lit up campaigns for some really large agencies we wanted to work with to kind of prove the point. Like we would be going up for a pitch or to meet with them, and we will ask them, "Did you see that? Do you remember seeing either a logo or some funny message that we put?" And so, yeah, it is something that we do use from time to time, and it works. Like it definitely, like they almost always say that, just like the Edmonton Oilers, like, "Oh yeah, I remember that." Okay, well that's kind of the proof point. So yeah, eating our own dog food for sure is something we've done.
Are there any other examples, Jonathan, of like client anecdotes of how folks have been creative in their storytelling with the kind of multi-touch point? I know the hockey one with your own brands is pretty great, but like, I guess for brand marketers that are listening to this, something that might inspire them to think a little bit outside of the box.
Sure, yeah. The flexibility and the control you have of the platform is something that I like to speak a lot about. And I give an example. So Kylie Jenner launched her skincare line a few years back, and she's got hundreds of millions of social followers. She uses social to communicate, but the Kardashians and the Jenners love billboards. Like they love big splashy stuff. So one of our investors actually helped them put vending machines with Kylie's products in airports and said, "Hey, they're launching this new thing. They love billboards. Maybe we can do something with Kylie." So we get on with Kylie's team, and they're like, is it possible for Kylie's, face, her skincare line is, but she's the face, right? To be on every single digital billboard in the country at the same time. Like a national takeover. And we're like, I like the boldness. Yeah, of course, sure. So hang up the phone, go to the conference, and like, guys, can we do this? And like, what is that going to cost? And what is that going to look like? And then they're like, so we're like, yeah, we can do it. Like technologically, we can do it. We'll definitely want to just, let all the media owners know that like literally their whole fleet of screens is going to light up a certain way, which we did. But then they were like, but we also expect to sell out. And so we don't want to be promoting a product that people can't buy. So it was like this duality of I want to go big, but I don't want to smear people with something after it's been sold out, because then you could piss people off.
Right.
So kind of a cool use case. And we're like, okay, well, that's what programmatic is best for, right? You literally have your finger on the button. You can turn it on or turn it off, literally within seconds. So 7 a.m., we do it. We light it all up, and it says Kylie Skin coming soon. 9 a.m., it's Kylie Skin now available. So she changed her messaging out. And then at like 2:30, they sold out. And they had this Kylie Skin sold out, coming back soon, which they wanted to keep on for like 30 minutes just to let people do that. And so it was like a less than 1 day campaign, but they were in 1,000 cities at the same time, on billboards and in shopping malls too. So it was like two different kind of venue types. And I like to talk about that example because it was like our coming out story. Like that was Adomni's like we kind of made it moment. And it was really successful. And there's a case study on our website, and it's pretty cool to see like one of the biggest social media people using the real worlds that way.
But what about all, like, from in our experience, kind of touching adjacent, digital out of home from time to time with the work that we do? Like, I know there's a lot of players. You mentioned Clear Channel and Outfront and stuff like that. Do you have access to like every player? Like there was 0% were kind of outliers not using or not part. Like, how did that work? How did you cover every single player?
Yeah. So at this point, I wouldn't say it's 100% of their digital inventory, but it's strong 90s.
Yeah. Okay.
They've recognized that like they're losing money if they don't sort of make their inventory available programmatically to the digital marketers. So there's been a big push, especially over the last few years. So most of Clear Channel, Outfront's digital billboards, I would guess is in the high 90s, if not close to 100 with some media owners, is programmatically enabled. And there's always new screens going up, right? So our inventory keeps growing, 30% a year, where it's become so inexpensive to put TVs, up. Like we go to Costco and it's like, what? I can get a 65-inch TV for $300. So yeah, I mean, it was that. It was like we were bidding on every single ad opportunity in every market. And then we showed Kylie's team a map that was lighting up. We're like the Kylie takeover is what we called it. Like all of a sudden, like the pink is like a T-Mobile coverage map all across the US. And it was really fun. Not every brand can do that, but the key there is that you can be very efficient and targeted, and you don't have to be on every screen, but even within a market, you could surround certain stores, whatever. So it is fun to see all these different creative ways that brands take advantage of it.
Wild. Definitely.
It's crazy.
Wow. So, Jonathan, do you have any questions for us or anything you'd like to say to our audience before we wrap up here?
I mean, thank you for having me on your podcast, guys. This was fun. I'd say if your audience has a lot of, creative oriented, folks and entrepreneurial folks, I would just say that, my motto with both Adomni and just everything in business is that there's always a better way. And so the idea that like we embrace change in our company and we try to really share that with our clients. And when you kind of have a mentality like that, it makes business more interesting, more fun. And so whether it's playing with AI tools or in this case, maybe trying a new advertising channel that you might not have had in your media mix, I think testing and learning and continuously kind of trying new things is the best piece of advice that I would give to anyone. And we're doing it ourselves too, for our own business. So I think that's kind of like almost a way of life now, but we'd love to see if there's ways we can collaborate, guys, with some of your own clients and campaigns as well. I mean, you're producing these amazing videos. I'm sure there's ways that we can, do some work together to help kind of bring those to more audiences in more interesting ways. So maybe after the pod, we could talk even about like what a partnership could look like between our companies.
Absolutely.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, thank you so much for joining.